So it's like a minute to 30 seconds.
Press record on that, yeah.
Off.
Recording, yeah, okay. Welcome back to Another Idea, the podcast for creatives.
And entrepreneurs.
And creatives.
We start there. And whoever wants to listen.
Yeah, whoever's tuning in. It's really geared towards anybody that's in a creative industry, whether you're self-employed or you've got a team of people, whether you're a photographer, you're a musician, you're an artist, whatever it might
Designer.
be. Yeah. We really wanted to put something together that was going to open up a conversation around the creative industries. And just to open up the conversations that me and Igor have every week or so.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're on episode, is this 4? This is episode 4. And we're going to talk about money.
Ooh, yeah. It'll be, it's a topic that you don't really hear much on creative industries, really.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a taboo. I think it's just a taboo in general.
Yeah.
Not even just the creative industry. I think it's a bit of it's still a difficult subject for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, before we start...
We're not going to fall out over this one, are we?
No, definitely not.
We're not going to have an argument over finances. No, dear.
Why am I the one who's constantly paying? No, definitely not.
Although I actually did just buy lunch.
It's true.
Can we tell people that you had a beer with your pizza at lunchtime?
Yeah, I
12
did.
O'clock, 12 o'clock beer.
I did offer it. Oh, yeah. I do love my beer. But for anyone that's watching, please like, subscribe, comment. We love to hear from you. So yeah, just to preface that.
Yeah, just share it. Like we're starting this podcast from scratch, aren't we? Really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've actively avoided seeking any kind of sponsorship just yet. We want to see how it goes. We want to get it right. We want to sort of hopefully get people to recognize that this has potential and that we're going to hopefully bring a lot of value and some knowledge to people's, lives, and that eventually that will happen. But to get us up and running, we would love it if you could just share it on Instagram or something, or put it in your stories, or tag us, let us know what you think, like what was good, what was not so good. We don't want to hear bad things, but just room for improvement.
Yeah, give us the nice reviews as well on
iTunes,
Spotify, everywhere. Yeah.
Just give us a hand, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And hopefully, in the long run, we'll repay that with more content.
Yeah.
What else? I mean, I was just...
More goodness to come from us. More goodness to come.
Good vibes. Okay. Should we get on with the episode?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay. What do you want to talk about money? How much money have you got, Igor?
Enough. Enough. We live comfortably. But I think that it's... Yeah, this conversation about money, it's one that's so important, but it's so not had often enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and especially, like you said earlier, it's not, especially in our industry, in the creative industry, it's kind of one of those things you worry about at the end, isn't it? Like can I pay my tax bill? It's due next week. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people that don't even save up for their tax bill. They just spend their money. It comes in, it goes out.
Yeah.
I just for the record, I don't do that. But there are some people that, fly by the seat of their pants, don't they, in life?
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. But I guess to start, really, tell me a little bit, and I'll do the same. Tell me a little bit of how you've grown with your relationship with money. You can start from being a kid, even how your parents would chat about money, or if they did or if they didn't.
Okay.
How you just literally grown up with your relationship with money.
Do you know what? When I look back on it, I don't think I can't ever recall having those conversations around, what you should do with money.
Yeah.
How you get money. How you should. Plan for things in the future. You should, be able to say, there are some lessons that, like, we never had those discussions. Mm-hmm. We were, as a family, we were never rich. We were also never poor. Like we always, I mean, my parents might tell us differently. They might say that they struggled, and I don't know, but we never had that conversation. But we always had nice holidays. We were never short of anything.
Yeah.
But we weren't either, we weren't indulged either. For me, like one of the first lessons that I can think of that around money was when I got my first job at McDonald's at the age of 16, I mean, I used to have a paper round before that, and that was always good. And, in terms of, just having a bit of pocket money. But my job at McDonald's was the first real job I had where I had a salary or I had income. And one of the big lessons, I can always remember saying to my mum, like, I really wanted this, like, stereo system, like, when I was 16. She went, well, you have to earn, you have to save up for it.
That's it.
And that was it. Once I realised that I had to save for it, I saved and I bought it. But for me, only over the last 3 or 4 years have I started to realise that there's actually a lot more out there than just saving up for a stereo.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are, I've done things since then that have been, we've moved house, I've bought a house, and we've, had a family. So I'm able to plan for those things. But I think what I'm getting to is the point of there's a much bigger pot out there to tap into, and I'm sure we're going to get onto this in a little bit. Maybe I'm not. I've kind of gone off from your question a little bit.
No, it's good. It's good. I like this, and I think as well we should keep this conversation, weave it in and out. So
I mean, I felt like I went into 5 different points then, but I suppose just to go back to your question, as a child growing up, we didn't really have that open conversation around the dinner table about money and finances, which I don't think it's a bad thing on my parents. I think that was just I think that's a generational thing as well, that maybe it's I don't know, maybe I'm trying to think, do I have that conversation with my children? Probably not. Maybe I should, but there are things we're doing with Betsy now, who's almost 10, that we're trying to kind of give her a bit of responsibility. So but I think in summary, we never really had that conversation. Well, how about you?
I wouldn't say that we did have the conversation. Kind of, even literally everything you said was quite similar.
You're going to tell me you were trading stocks and shares by the time you were 11, weren't you?
How did you know? How did you know?
You're reading the FT around the breakfast table.
Yeah, that's it. I had my 2 laptops.
Multi-screen setup. Bye.
No, it's quite similar, really. But at the same time, I think I learnt a lot just by watching my parents. My dad, he's had 2 businesses, where one opened a bookshop, that didn't work, and again kept on saving, and invested onto then a restaurant, and I worked a lot in that restaurant and was able to see quite a lot, just on how his attitude towards it was, towards money was, and just, I guess this is the main point really, that having a work ethic that it's second to none really, especially with my mum as well. She was really, really good at that, and from that I learned that if you want something, you just literally have to earn for it really. I think that answers the question really, but at the same time, answers the question in some ways.
I feel like we almost could do with this is a subject that's so complex that we could almost do with an expert here to be able to sound it out, because there are so many sort of different ways you can take it. But one thing I've picked up on through reading a few books and seeing a few people is that there's so much of our approach to money is set in those early years, and that's kind of why I think you've started with that question.
With that question,
that mindset towards money, and the impact that the way our parents dealt with money, or those conversations that we had or didn't have, can impact you massively years later.
And I think as well, now as an adult and seeing my girls grow up, I think it's something that I would like to have. It's the conversation that I would like to have, and them have that knowledge that these are the ways that you can earn money, or just be open about it to the point that they feel that they can have a good relationship with money, rather than actually not being afraid of, we don't talk about money. Or I think that's where issues with families or whoever else arise really, when they sort of treat money as that sort of thing that we don't talk about, especially when things are not going well. Because if you talk about it when things are going good, and when things are not, I think so. It becomes an issue when things are not going well. But if you instill the idea that yes, we do talk about it, and especially when things are good.
Yeah.
Those harder conversations when things are not going well are so much easier, really. And yeah, they say that one of the highest reasons for divorce is money, really.
Yeah.
It's
a you know, I can think back to conversations I have with Gemma. It's still a sore point sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a very, and we're not taught, I don't think, at schools to be able to handle those conversations either. You know, I can still, I always remember back to, I did business studies in my A levels, and the only time I ever kind of had any kind of, dipping my toe into the world of finance was my business studies tutor on a, whatever day it was, like a Thursday, would bring the FT in, and he would say, right, we're gonna pretend buy stocks and shares. Now, if I'd have actually done what he was making us do and actually went out and bought stocks and shares at the same time, because I was buying stocks and shares in Vodafone and Carphone Warehouse and all of those places, just as mobile phone. I wouldn't be sat here now with you, mate. I'd be on a beach. I'd be on a beach in Barbados. But that for me was the only. That is it in terms of my entire education. Education experience. That was the only time we ever talked about anything to do with finance, and I think it's a bit of a shame, really. That
it really is.
I wonder if it's addressed now. I don't know, but
no, I think that it still isn't really. If I hear it so many times that sort of like workshops or even at some videos, YouTube videos, and you read the comments, and I'm really into sort of like financial or personal finance videos and people that talk about it. And sometimes with the comments, you just hear, why wasn't I taught this at school?
Yeah.
It's simple stuff that sometimes it's not even taught in our educational system. But hopefully we'll be able to touch on some of those points, really.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What kind of conversations will you have with your daughters that you reckon that going forward? How do you see those unfolding?
That's really good. I think that
I'm looking at you thinking, he's going to tell me what to do with my children now. So let me just go and get my notepad.
I think, especially being an entrepreneur at heart, I think that no matter what they do, I think I would try to instill that idea that you can earn money doing pretty much anything. Like, find a thing that you love, find a thing that you like, and find an avenue of monetizing that, and just creating opportunities, really, because
it's going to be the best at it that you can be.
Because I find it as well, because I find it that by having to become an entrepreneur within my business and everything else, it's a life skill. It really, really is a life skill, and that you can use that and relate that to literally anything, if that makes sense. No matter what they do, try to find that thing that you really love and really just monetize it. Even if it's like, I don't know, it's Betsy into YouTube.
I mean, she would be an influencer tomorrow. She could be a YouTuber. Find me a child under the age of 10 that doesn't want to be a YouTuber.
I would be the dad that would definitely encourage that. Obviously, with its parameters and everything else, of course. But you go, girl. You go and sell your sludge or whatever.
I think for me, I think back to, like, I find myself often going, God, if I was 18 again, what would I do differently? I don't know if that's a good or a bad place to be in, because obviously that's not going to happen, and maybe I should listen to my advice and just implement it now anyway. But I think just the whole idea around making sure that you can just put some aside every month. I wish if I was doing I was reliving my early 20s, mid 20s again, would just to be right, okay, 10% every month. Just put it away. And put it in a decent stocks and shares ISA. And just leave it. This
don't
whole,
touch it, just leave it.
Kind of compounding interest over 25, 30 years, because obviously, I mean, I don't know if we're going to talk about pensions today, but as self-employed creatives, I don't really have much of a pension pot. I certainly don't have the pension contributions that you would get if you worked for a large corporation. So it does worry me a little bit what will happen in, where we're going to be in sort of 20, 30 years time. I mean, we'll see, won't we? But
Yeah.
I think going back, I would like to have been told a bit younger, like just to go, right, do you know what? Okay, you've earned that. That's great. Let's just put 10% away.
Yeah.
Just put it away somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't ever touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just put it in a decent ISA and watch it grow over time. I
Yeah.
wish I'd have done that. That's kind of my big
Yeah.
sort of takeaway from the last 20 years, I think.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And you hear so many times in terms of the financial world, people saying they even go furthermore extreme, 50%, literally whack it at 50%,
Yeah.
put that away, you don't see it, and try to live off it, another
Yeah.
the other 50 left over, which is, whew.
I mean,
you imagine doing that?
I like the finer things in life, Igor. I told you about wine pairings in the last one, so that'd be hard. But yeah, so I think there's a lot, isn't there, around, the start of this conversation is around mindset and approach that's set from an early age.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just about having an awareness and recognizing that, like, did your parents talk about it openly? And if they didn't, why didn't they? And, yeah, I don't know. Does that? What were the other points we got to talk about? What
the other
did you
one
wanna
was
kind of
which
address.
Yeah, the other one was very much, which in some ways we've with the topic that we're on now in terms of how we've grown up and everything else, but scarcity versus abundance. Really, the whole idea that you may have in your mind, you have little and you just keep it. That's it. Rather than there's so much out there that we can get or that we can earn, and not have that worldview of we're here and this is our little territory.
And even us talking about this, it makes me feel a little bit like, is this the right thing to say? Is there a bit of like I don't want people to think we are coming across as people that are just like money grabbers.
Definitely not.
I'm never going to be Premier League football salary levels. But you know what? I think the point we're trying to make, and I hope it comes across by the end of the episode, is that there is a lot of wealth out there, and maybe there's more that's accessible to us than we might have thought 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And if we can help a few people realise that actually, do you know what? To go out and earn 40, 50k a year when you're self-employed, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not, but it's not hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's not unattainable.
Yeah. Definitely isn't.
And I think we're both in a similar boat at the moment in terms of our businesses, where we've both kind of had to say to each other, hold on a second, we've done well, we've built decent businesses, they're doing okay, but is there more?
Yeah, that's it.
And I think I've certainly felt like in the last few months, like I'm in a position where I've put so much into my business and I'm working really hard at it that it isn't reflected in what I earn yet. But I'm hoping that everything that I'm building means that in 6 months' time or 5 years, or however long it might be, that actually that's going to start coming back around.
Yeah. Earlier than that, I believe in you.
I hope so. Thanks, mate. Thanks for the confidence boost there. But Igor said it would be okay. When I'm sat there with the mortgage advisor, Igor told me I'd get it. So just to go off to a couple of little points.
Yeah.
I think we've talked before, privately, about, I'd still rather, we don't need money to be happy. And that's that's a really clear thing.
Yeah.
We're not saying that, we want to just earn 150, 200,000 pounds a year.
Yeah.
Because we want to. It's, I'd rather only have 40, 50k a year and be in a really good, happy place.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that point.
I think what you're trying to say is that
you carry the baton.
I think, and I remember this point. You'd rather do that, have the 50k, and have a nice, well balanced life, rather than some stories that you heard of someone perhaps earning 150 to 200 to whatever, and just be miserable.
Yeah. I know those people. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. I think that yet at the same time, to sort of like play the devil's advocate, I want to go for that. Openly, I want to go for that. I want to go for the 150. I want to go for the 200, and this is what gets me excited. Thinking about it, yes, we're photographers, but there's so much more that we can do within our businesses in order to sort of like step into that sort of area, into that sort of bracket.
We're photographers in the UK, and the UK is it's a huge market, but it's a drop in the ocean in comparison to the worldwide market.
Yeah.
And like we talked about in episode 3, we talked about surrounding yourself with the right people
Yeah.
and talking. I've got a friend that I talk to a lot who's in the industry who will regularly say to me, "But what's stopping you making 500, 600? What's stopping you doing that?"
Yeah.
And more often than not, my only answer is, "Well, it's me. That's my mindset to
Yeah.
it. It's my approach to it. It's me going, oh God, but I'm not worth that."
Yeah. That's it.
But-
And that's what I was trying to get to with that. Look back at your childhood, and almost
Yeah.
like a little therapist.
Yeah.
Look back at your childhood and think, what are the things that sort of like...
Did you want me to lie back on the sofa?
Yes, please.
Put my feet up. Put my feet on your...
And now close your eyes,
Yeah.
Sam, and take me back to your childhood. What are the things that you... I'll stop. But yeah, that's what I meant. What are the things that are sort of like stopping us from having that sort of mindset of, no, actually, I can do that. I can earn, and I can earn well and provide way more opportunities for my family or whoever else, really. And yeah, that gets me going. That's exciting. It gets me out of bed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the answer to not having a pension pot as well. Is being able to succeed over the next sort of 10, 15 years beyond what just a normal salaried income would provide you.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for, because I don't really have much of a pension pot. So.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I'm the same, to be
We'll
fair.
see where that goes.
And yeah, it needs to improving that sort of like mindset as well. And I think it's only been over the past probably 3-4 years really that I've sort of, not even that, I would say 2-3, that I've sort of start thinking about, researching about it. And
what's your take on the word sort of, I suppose this kind of ties into it, like manifesting and manifesting money and saying, no, like I'm going to leave that with you. I've got a response, but I'm going to leave you to.
Yeah, especially from a this is personal, but especially coming from a sort of like someone that's from a Christian perspective, and someone that's Christian and really believes in God heartedly. The whole idea of manifesting it's almost like taking God out of the equation and saying that, yes, me with my mind and willpower, I'll be able to get it. I'll be able to do it, which I believe in. I know that I know my skills and I know what I'm capable of. And I know that if I set my mind to it, it probably will happen. But at the same time with manifesting, I think it's, you correct me, but in my mind, I think I see it as almost like a Zen-like thing that if I really will it, or if I really think about it, it will happen. Is that?
Yeah. I'm on the fence with it.
Yeah.
There are times when I think it's a bit of a trigger marketing word that's just to get attention.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna for a second sit here and go, if you manifest something, it's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
I don't buy that for a second. But I do kind of get the point of what it's trying to do, which is to make you realize that I suppose it's kind of like a form of, I suppose it's like a meditation in a sense, or having an awareness of something and just recognizing that it is there.
Yeah.
And if you just focus on it for a bit and then you get down, like you still have to work hard. I don't believe anybody just gets anything by luck as such, unless you go and play the lottery. But if you go and play the lottery, you still got to play the lottery. I don't buy into this idea that you can just think about it and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I do. I think, it's good to recognize it, but I think you still have to work hard and you have to have the foundations of something there to be able to generate that income.
Yeah. I think we agree on that, really. I don't think there's... going back to the whole Christian side of it, because it's almost like removing God out of the equation and just sort of saying, we can do it all on our own, if that makes sense. But yet, with the flip side of that, I very much think that with our skills and with our knowledge and whatever we have, that would say are God-given, I very much think that we can go and get pretty much anything we set our minds to, really. I
think it just for me it's the big lesson of the last few months in the conversation we've had is just recognizing that there is a much bigger market out there that we're able to tap into. And it's about how do we start building our businesses to be able to generate those sales and that income. And that's for me is how I would see manifesting. It's me and you being able to say to each other, no, that world does exist out there. okay, well, let's start building something towards
Yeah.
getting it,
Yeah.
rather than just sitting on our asses and going, money will come to us. It will, and just waiting for it to come through the door, like the Amazon delivery guy. It's not just going to bring us bags of cash, is it?
Yeah.
We have to build our business to a stage where we can kind of allow ourselves to take that income. But to wind the clock back a little bit, and just something to kind of give people, like, what's your kind of what's been your experience of the pricing journey? Like, how is your life as somebody who's been self-employed? How's your sort of journey with pricing for your services gone? What's it kind of taking you on?
I think it's been quite straightforward, really. It's been gradual.
Yep.
It's been constantly gradual. So literally my first wedding was probably £500, was literally that. And from that, I probably went to 750 and then 1200 and upwards and upwards and upwards, to the point that now I can use, like, an average wedding in the UK would easily go at 6k or something like that.
Yep.
Whereas abroad more. And
which, if you rewind to me and you 6 years ago, that'd blow your mind, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think as well, again, it's the importance of having those people that sort of like just spur you on and encourage you. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We were talking, and you're just like, yeah, you should just up it, because the quality is there, but you should just up it. You are worth more. I don't know if we can go into it in terms of worth and what people should be charging, whatever else. But it was that encouragement, basically, to say, it was amazing to have someone from within the industry giving you sort of like permission. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can.
Okay, so why did, in order for you to put your prices up then, just to throw you cover, why did somebody having to give you permission?
I know, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
Where's that come from?
It doesn't need, I think it's
doubt.
Yeah, very much.
Uncertainty.
Perhaps not being sure of the value of your art itself, and thinking it has been a sort of like, it has been a gradual journey. Yeah, basically. And today I'm very proud of what I charge, and probably could charge more.
Yep.
But at the same time, it has been a gradual sort of like reflection of that, a gradual confidence of being able to, being able to say, this is my price and this is what I charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody gets to the level that you're at now price-wise just by luck. You've had to work incredibly hard. You've had to constantly push yourself, get your standards up, and produce consistently good work. Yeah. That doesn't just happen overnight. Yeah. It would be nice to say, oh yeah, I've just become a wedding photographer and I'm going to start charging £6,000 a wedding. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. And I think any industry, no matter what you are as a creative, there's that slope that you have to go on to get to that level. Yeah. But at numerous points on that sort of incline, lots of people stop. Yeah. And I think they stop because, well, I think for a few reasons. I think first is they're probably scared. Probably scared that work's just going to drop off the cliff and they're never going to get booked for anything. Yeah. And I think the second one is a point we've already touched on already, which is that they don't know that incline can continue. Yeah. They think that's it. They think they've hit the ceiling. And the ceiling's a big one, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and I think going on that ceiling analogy, I think for me, what has been a massive ceiling has always been the VAT bracket, really. Yeah, that threshold.
That threshold of what currently is 85k?
Yeah, I think it really strangles small businesses. It really stunts growth, doesn't it?
Yeah, constantly been dancing around that. And yeah, I think that it was literally this year, and I'm still sort of like fearful about it in some ways, but in my mind, okay, this is it. I'm just going to go for it. Yeah. And
it's a big chunk. It's a big figure. Yeah. 20%. For those people not watching that aren't in the UK, because we're hoping that we'll have a bit of a US following as well at some point. It's value-added tax, and in the UK we get charged 20% of all turnover once we go through £85,000 or 86. Is it 85 or 86? There or thereabouts. Yeah. And that means you've got to go through it by quite a considerable way. Yeah. And when you're selling a service, that means you've got to give a lot more time in order to be able to recover that that 20%.
Yeah, so you literally probably will have to get to 100, 110 or so in order to start seeing that money come back to you, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm still fearful about it, really. But let's see.
This is the point, though. Is it a ceiling?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I certainly feel like, I'm the same as you. I've always kind of just kept myself under that VAT threshold because I never wanted to go and do £25,000-30,000 worth of work just to recover my losses of that VAT. But I'm starting to see the VAT threshold as a can I take the lid off it?
Yeah.
If I remove that barrier, well, what's stopping me going to make 400, 500, 600?
Yeah.
Like, really, what is there?
Yeah, I think. Again,
I mean, that's a scary number. It is. It's mad.
Yeah, it just gets me going.
But again, it's about aiming high, isn't it? It's about going, okay. Well, what if I might not do £500,000, but if that means that I fall short and I fall short at 200, is it worth it? Well, yeah, absolutely, will be worth it. At that. And
there will be lessons learned there, and next year you can do bigger and better things. Really, so yeah.
What are the ceilings and like? Let's come back from that VAT limit.
Okay.
What are the other sort of, I suppose, barriers to success financially that we think people might encounter? I mean, I talked about the first point being they get scared. So they kind of start to put their prices up and they think that that's it. No one's going to want their services again. What would you say to those? What would you say to those kind of people?
Put me on the spot, really, but... Again, usually they say that the people that you surround yourself with, the 5 next closest friends to you are probably the ones that very much reflect the way you live and how you live it and whatever else. I'm not saying go and change your friends and and have friends that have more money than you or whatever else. No, but the point is... I don't know what the point is.
Do you want to talk about something, something else?
Waffled. I just
talk
waffled
about
there.
the pizza you had for lunch.
I just waffled there. I don't know. I need to go back to my notes.
but this is the whole. It's okay to have this conversation.
Yes.
Like, this is exactly why we're having it, because it's a very difficult conversation.
Yeah.
And even as we're sat here talking about those things, in my head, I keep saying to myself, "God, what might people think? Have I said the right thing? Do I?" Don't know. Should I say that? Are people going to think I'm a bit? I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's such a scary thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of quite glad we're having the conversation, and I hope that throughout all of these points that people are going to be able to take a few little things away that might
definitely.
go. Do you know what? Just they might just alter their course. They might just think, actually, do you know what? No, I'm gonna put my prices up. No, I am worth more than that.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm going to start just saving a little bit, putting a little bit aside each month. I don't know. I like going back to the pricing journey. I often, when I talk to mentor photographers, in our industry, it's very common for people to say, when you put your price up to that point, the pressure on you is greater. Okay, I don't know if I can handle that pressure.
Yeah. Or
they say, when you're dealing with people that have got money, are they, and quote unquote, stuck up pretentious snobs, right? So in reference to both, in response to both of those points, the first one, like I don't feel any more pressure going to those clients. Do you?
No, and most of the times I find that they're just people down to earth.
Yeah, I mean so. In response to the second point, like I haven't bought that idea once. I don't think.
Yeah.
For me, the most difficult clients I encountered in the business were always the ones at the very beginning, at the lowest price points, that wanted discount.
They want the deal.
They want the moon on a stick, and they want it rolled in glitter.
As much as possible. Yeah. As much as they can get from you, because they want the deal, basically.
I mean, just if any of my early clients are listening, I had some great. I'm just talking about the odd exception here, right? But they weren't. I had more difficulty with some clients at that price point than I do at higher price points.
Yeah, your DMs are just gonna roll in.
Yeah. But I do. I like the clients that we deal with now, that we encounter. For me, are so invested and they are so appreciative of what we do as creatives and artists that they just they trust you to do the job.
Yeah, yeah,
and I love that.
yeah. And I think that's one of the things that pricing has, that I've seen over the years as well, by raising my prices gradually, is that it gets to a point where your pricing or whatever you're charging for almost like becomes a filter for the people that really, really want you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They will move heaven and earth. For some clients might seem expensive, to others it might not, but for those that perhaps would see it as, oh, this is an investment, they will really work hard at getting you and making sure that you are well treated and whatever else, simply because they see you as an investment. They see you as something.
Yeah, they get it.
As I'm buying something that's of value here, and they see the value. And that's been great. That's been great to see, really. It really changes the relationship that I've had with clients, and it gives you not a sense of pride, but it gives you a sense of I loved doing that wedding I've loved doing that job because I was valued. I was seen as valued, not just simply the work that I bring, but me myself.
Yeah.
I was seen as valued.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think going just on when you increase your prices, I often I can still remember putting my prices up in those early days, thinking they're not that couple that I loved their wedding. It was great. It was a brilliant day. They couldn't afford me now, and that I remember sitting on that for a little while, thinking I'm not going to put my prices up because of that.
Yeah.
Because I want those people to be able to afford me. Mm-hmm. But by putting my prices up and going through that journey, you start to realise that you still get to go to really good weddings and get great jobs. Mm-hmm. You know, there are just different levels of affordability across the board. And unfortunately, there are some people that wouldn't be able to afford you.
Yeah, but again, it just goes back to that value thing as well, because I've had clients, even today, that perhaps are not sort of like what you would consider earning, like, I don't know, 200k a year or whatever. So basically not rich clients, but really, really invest into me, into what I bring to their wedding day, simply because they see the value in it. And I think that's the importance, and that's something to be highlighted, really, that people sometimes don't see as a flip coin of why, or a good positive thing of why you should increase your prices.
Yeah. Do you think price reflects quality?
Most of the time, yes. But yes, there will be times where it really, really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's very easy sometimes to see that you could have a designer over there, designer A and designer B. Designer A charges 10k for whatever, and basically his work is not as good as designer B, but his ability to sell his work is just,
the selling thing's huge, isn't it?
It's just there right at the top. So he's able to, even though his work is not as valuable or it's not as great a quality as designer B, designer A, it's just simply by the fact that he's able to put 10x value from designer B into his own work. Just means that he's able to really bring a lot more, and that's something to kind of like admire and kind of like say kudos to you, because you've got your business hat on and you're able to literally charge so much more than designer B.
Absolutely. I think I mean that kind of comes down to having a confidence as well, doesn't it? Like being able to sell yourself and say, no, do you know what, this is what I charge, this is my worth and my value. The reason I asked that question is actually I wonder, one thing I often talk about with photographers is where this idea of like why they can't charge more comes from. Mm-hmm. And I'll often kind of give them a bit of a curveball of saying, well, okay, you always get people come to you that say, we can't afford you. Mm-hmm. like you're out of our budget.
Yeah.
Can you do any discount? And that instantly starts to make you feel like you charge too much, but it's not. That's just on them. That's their issue, not yours.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes to your site and goes, they're not charging enough, they're too cheap, do those people ever say to you? Does anybody ever say to anybody, you're too cheap? From a consumer to a business?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? If I
It does. No, it does. It does. Like, it has only happened to me once, but it has happened.
Okay, that's quite. Yeah, I can't. I'm amazed that's happened.
Yeah.
I find it incredible that somebody would go, "You're. By the way, we love your work, but you're too cheap."
Yeah.
But if people told you that you were too cheap, what would you do?
No. Especially today.
So in the same way that people
Yeah,
do you see where I'm going with this?
In
the same way that people would say to you, "You're too much. You're too much. You're too much. You're."
Yeah.
If somebody told you you're too much all the time, you would be made to feel like you've got to drop your prices. But if people kept coming to you saying, "You're too cheap. You're too cheap. You're too cheap," what would you do?
Yeah.
I think you'd put your
prices up. Yeah.
Yeah, but no one ever says that.
Yeah.
No one ever says you're too cheap because they either book you because they're like, "I've got a deal here,"
Yeah.
or they go, why is that too cheap?
Yeah.
And I think they link. I think a lot of people, not everybody, but I think there are a lot of people that do. They assign the cost or the expense of something to
With quality.
experience, to quality, to individual's ability to be able to deliver. Trust. We've talked about that countless times. How huge that is. All of those things play into price. So when a price doesn't match what their expectations are, it's when you get that misalignment, isn't it?
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just went off on one there.
No. It's really good.
Was any good or not?
No,
for you,
it's
Igor, but
really good.
You can have that one.
Yeah, thank you. So for anyone listening, when do you think, and if they should, that could be a whole other conversation. When do you think that people should start increasing their prices?
I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, obviously, we're talking about it from our industry is a bit unique in the sense of we book clients a year and a half, 2 years out from their date, don't we? So it's very unlike a lot of other industries. I think first and foremost, you've got to focus on your craft.
Yeah.
That has. You don't just. We said at the beginning, you don't just get to charge £6,000 a wedding without absolutely working on your craft relentlessly for the period of time that you have worked on it for.
Yeah.
You have to have that foundation in place to be able to charge that money.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of when you put your prices up, it's when your inquiries outstrip your demand.
Yeah.
Your demand outstrips your availability.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to shoot 60 weddings a year, do you?
Yeah,
you don't
definitely not.
So
definitely not.
But you get enough traffic and enough inquiries to go, do you know what? I don't need that much work.
Yeah.
I think having an awareness of where you are in the calendar year as well is a big thing.
Yeah.
I think if you're going into, and we're talking about this point now purely from a wedding photography point of view. So although we didn't want it to be a wedding photography podcast, but we can only talk about it from our experience.
Our perspective.
If you're going into your calendar year of weddings and you're fully booked, like for me, that means you've not charged enough soon enough.
Yeah.
But if you're going into your year and you've only got 5 bookings in, it's the other way. You've not worked enough on your craft and your marketing and your business in order to make those sales.
Yeah.
So there's a real fine balance, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like between getting the work and making sure that you get the right work at the right time.
Yeah.
Does that answer your
question?
Yeah,
in some ways, yes, it
does.
What
would you add to that?
I would say that, especially again within our industry, I've used it as a good rule of thumb, really, that if I get to probably 70% of the capacity that I wanted for the year, around there, I would up my prices, really, because the demand is there.
Yeah.
And I guess it goes to what you were saying, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got friends and peers that I know will book 10 weddings and they'll go, I'm going to charge another £200.
Yeah.
And like you say, if you get 70%, you put your prices up.
Yeah.
I've done a few different price increase strategies, really.
Yeah.
The one that really stood out was the day when I I think I got to the 70% for the next year by, I think, the October, November time.
Okay.
And that was the only time that I went, do you know what? I'm going to put them up by £1,000. And I went from 2.5 to 3.5.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I was fine for the following year.
Yeah,
I got enough
that's
work
it.
in. And do you know what I noticed? Do you know what happened?
You got booked more.
Nothing happened. Nothing changed. People still booked me.
Yeah. Yeah.
People still booked me.
Yeah. It's that fear, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's
that fear. And I think that was,
that holds so many people back.
yeah, that was the conversation that I needed to have with you, like 4 years ago or so, whenever it happened. Really, that sort of like took the fear away a little bit.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. And yeah, it's important to hear stuff like that because, again, it goes back to the whole permission thing. But it makes you feel like, oh, if he's done it, I can do it.
Yeah.
It gives you permission in some ways,
absolutely.
if you know what I mean. And it's great to see. This is why I love our industry in a sense, really, because it's an industry where you are able to be creative, have your own voice.
Yeah.
And if you want, if you have the confidence, and if you believe in the art that you bring and the value, if you see the value in it, you're able to literally charge whatever you want in some ways.
Yeah.
And that's literally a dream job.
Yeah. Well, I showed you an artist that's based on site here, didn't I?
Yeah.
A guy who's been and done my sign for my door, and he showed me his Instagram following of 175,000 people, and that he charges £30,000 for a painting. It blew my mind his work's beautiful and stunning, but I would never have expected that.
Yeah.
Would
you ever think of charging that sort of amount of money?
No. I mean, but again, it comes down to, or does it? This is a kind of question. Does it come down to recognizing that market is out there at the start? Like because like, again, let's go back to like childhood. I talked about it in episode 1. My dad worked for the council, my mum worked for the NHS. We were never surrounded with wealth.
Yeah.
I didn't have friends or family friends or anybody that had got,
increasing wealth. Yeah.
Just increasing wealth. I didn't know any of those people.
Yeah.
So to then go into a career in a creative industry and to not recognize that world exists, or to not be aware of it.
Yeah.
I think that's probably taken me 10, 15 years to kind of recognize.
And that's what I sort of like meant with what sort of, when you ask what sort of advice would you give to your girls or whatever, in terms of like, in terms about money. And that's what my point sort of like was trying to get to. Give them the awareness that there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
So many different ways of them to earn a living, really. It doesn't need to be the traditional way of doing a 9-to-5 job or whatever else. There's so many different ways.
Yeah, which is really what school trains you for, doesn't it?
Yeah. Here we go again.
Oh, on a big one. Can you tell it's a sore point? Let me just take this chip off my shoulder. Hold on.
But at the same time, as I was saying, I consider ourselves having like a dream job. At the same time, over the probably last couple of years, with us realizing that there's so many different ways of expanding our business and everything else, I want to start shooting less weddings so that I can actually have more time to do stuff like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And increasing my prices will help that. Well, will help sort of like create that space or allow the time to and money to.
And as well, I think we talked about this in a previous episode. I can't remember which one, but we talked about, when you charge more, you can give, and you shoot less, you give more to your clients.
Yeah.
Your work becomes better because you go to those jobs and those gigs with more energy and more drive to get better results.
Yeah.
And it just builds and grows, doesn't it, over time,
Yeah.
Whereas the other way, if you just go to every job and you're tired and drained because you've been doing more than you're physically capable of doing, you're going to a job and providing a poor experience, really.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's hard. And I, we have a mutual friend in Andy Gaines, who, and I still remember having a discussion with him about this similar sort of topic. And Andy, I would say, he would just go, if you want to put your prices up, you've just got to put your prices up. Like that's, because in our industry, people always go, well, how do you put your prices up? And his response was, just put your prices up.
Yeah.
You do just have to take that
leap.
That little leap, don't you?
And it's that fear as well. Yeah, that's the thing. It's that fear of, what if people don't knock on my door? Okay, if people don't knock on your door, just scale it back.
Yeah.
If you feel like, okay, because of my pricing,
I think the key is to get people knocking your door first, isn't it?
Yes,
to build up,
that's
you've got to, this is it. We're not saying people just put the price up and like, away you go, you're going to be fine. You've got to have a business that's built to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
You have to work on those foundations and make sure that every element, your marketing channels, your website, your branding is all on point and it's all geared towards more inquiries.
Yeah.
Because more inquiries means that your demand's there.
Yeah.
And you can afford to put your prices up.
That's it.
Not everyone's going to book you.
Yeah. True.
But you don't need as many people to book you when you're charging more.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover on mindset, pricing, money?
No,
do you invest?
I do not invest, and I want to invest.
Yeah, I think we're both in that boat, aren't we? At the minute?
Yeah. The more I grow up, the more I pay more attention to what I earn and how I earn my money. I want to be able to sort of like be able to invest. Yeah, be able to just be a lot more knowledgeable in that sort of financial area, really. So yeah,
I think it's just about getting your money to work for you a bit more, isn't
it?
That's how I feel like I want my money to be able to just work a bit harder in the background for me, and just to build things that will, over the next decade or 2 decades, just grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Whether that's in property or investments or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Just to start having an awareness of it and to be able to start doing that, I think would be big. Awkward silence.
You inhaled, so I thought you were about to say something.
We're still very new in this game now, aren't we, Igor? This is episode 4. We've only, we've done a couple of days here, but we've covered a lot of stuff there.
Yes.
And I hope people can take a few ideas away from that discussion.
Yeah.
It's still it is a difficult subject to cover.
Yeah. And we've had sort of like a few points really, like noted for the episode, but at the same time, I think the big thing that has come out from it really is, your mindset really, really affects the way that you think about money, the way you think about wealth, and that as well very much affects the fear that sometimes people have about wanting more money.
Yeah, it can limit your potential.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the keys for me, isn't it? It's like just open your eyes a little bit and just see what's out there in the world. And
and all that as well to say that it's very easy. We could say, why are you guys focusing so much on money? Are you not happy with what you have? And we joked about it at the beginning. So Igor, what did you say?
How much money have you got?
And I said something on the lines of enough. But and I do feel like that. But at the same time, it's the whole idea that you literally just said, knowing that there's so much more out there to earn and gain and achieve.
Yeah.
And I think as quite driven people, wanting to push things forward, we want to gun for things, really. We want to see things grow. We want to see things increase. We want to, just push our potential, really.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's not, for anyone thinking that I'm quite happy, they're quite happy with where they're at and how much they're earning. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And kudos to you, because you're at a point where you feel content and happy and life is great. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, for us here, it's a totally different.
I think for me, I'm excited. It's about I find it intriguing that the potential is there for us to go and do that.
Yeah.
I I don't know if I believe in myself yet enough that I can go and do that.
Oh, you can.
Well, you say that, but
Yeah.
I don't. I genuinely don't believe, or I don't have that level of self-confidence to go, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, we can go and this podcast is going to make us £800,000.
Millions!
It's not. I just don't see that. We listen to other podcasts, and they can openly talk about how much they make in advertising.
Yeah.
And for me, that's just like, what? How? Wow. How? I don't see that. I don't recognise that. But I'm trying to constantly remind myself that no, come on, it is there.
Yeah.
Let's just keep working towards it.
Yeah.
And you said exactly the same thing that I was going to kind of touch on. We're not sat here saying we want that because we're not, we're unhappy. It's not about that. Like we want to push ourselves and to see where it goes and to fulfill our potential and
That's it.
Go on that journey.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So I think on that kind of point, or those points, there's many points we've just had. It was a good episode. I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah.
I
Me
hope
too.
these guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They're going to let us know.
So
Because they're all going to share it on Instagram, aren't they, Igor?
Yeah, that's it. So, fam,
So thank you very much.
go out there, go fulfill your potential.
Yeah. And just take the lid off.
Yeah.
Take that lid off.
Yeah. You can do it.
Right. How do we wrap these episodes up? Do we need like a... No. Let's just wrap it up on that note.
See you guys.